welcome to Scrappin with Sheri. We're on page 56 today in our sketchbook, and I'm going to be using one of the newer collections from Creative Memories called Life at the Lake. Now, this is something I didn't think I would use, but my daughter and son-in-law took their little girl and they went out canoeing one day, and I've got some pictures of the canoe and them putting her in the canoe, different things. This is actually once they arrived home, and this is going to be the page that most closely mimics the sketch, but then I'm going to make the facing page using those other pictures. So what I've pulled is the double greens. This has fishing lures on the back of it. I'm going to be using the greens for the background. I'm going to be using this yellow to make a border, and then I'm going to be using the canoes for this bottom piece right here on both pages. So let me go ahead and do my cutting, and then we'll lay this double spread out and see what we've got. So the directions show us that we need a 2 1/4 by 12 inch strip along the bottom. And with these canoes, I thought initially that they would go this way, and I kind of like that look. The problem is that makes my trees sideways. So I'm going to be cutting it so the pattern will go this direction on my page. I'm keeping the trees upright. So I need this to be 2 1/4. And because I am doing a double spread, I'm going to go ahead and cut both of these. This is a really simple layout, and the good thing was I only need one page of that canoe paper because all I have to do is cut off those 2 little strips. I'm going to adhere these along the bottom of both sides. And I could get really picky about this and line it up so that my canoes are actually the same on both pages. I'm okay with it being different. I like the variation in that. This is what I'm talking about. On this one, I have 2 rows of canoes. This one, I have 1 row, but I like the fact that it's kind of offset a little bit. I am making sure my trees are right side up. When I initially looked at this page, I thought, oh, it would be a perfect page for a Festa Fab page. But this Life at the Lake with the little canoes just really jumped out at me. So I decided that's what I had to use for this one. All right, so we've got that done. And they just show little dot pins along the top edge here. But I wanted to use the Canoe Border Maker cartridge for this. So here's the little Canoe Border Maker cartridge. It's just a strip with a knockout design in it. And I'm going to be using this yellow paper from the Life at the Lake. It's got a red and black check look on the back, but I'm going to be using this yellow to do this. So to do our border maker system, we open the blue tray underneath, slide our paper in to the lip of the tray, and then we just punch. I've been dying to use this ever since they got a canoe, and this is my first opportunity that it really works on my page layout. So this is pretty exciting to me. Felt like there was something jammed in there. I like the fact that this one does punch off the paper with the ripply effect. It's got kind of a wave look like the water. It's a pretty punch. I think it wouldn't necessarily have to be canoes. I think you could just use it as a design possibly. But again, it's the first time I've used it, so I've not tried it. And then I'm just going to adhere these right over the edge of this border I've got on the bottom. And I'll do that using my repositionable tape and my silicone mat. At my last weekend event, someone asked me, is there any way that customers can get these silicone mats? And you can usually get these silicone mats when you sign on to be an advisor. But right now, they do have them where advisors can purchase them to show customers. And I'm not sure the limit on that, if it's a one per person limit or not, but I was able to purchase one for one of my good customers who really needs these silicone mats, and they are great. I probably need to be checking this with my page opposite it to make sure that I've got these lined up straight. And I do that just by putting my pages right up against one another and checking my spacing. Looks pretty good. All right, so we're gonna do the right-hand side of the page because it's going to more closely mimic the sketch, because I can cut my pictures down a little bit for this side of the page. So we've got her pretending to drive the truck once they got home. We've got a 4x6 that we can use here. And then this one on the sketch is a 3.5 by 4. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these down. And you know what? This one may be better to be a 3.5 by 4. I think I'm going to cut this one to be the 3.5 by 4. And I'm just kind of eyeballing what I'm cutting out and what I'm leaving in. Okay, so that'll be the bottom photo. We're going to leave that one intact as a 4x6. And then this one is a 2 3/4 square. That's going to come in pretty close, but what I really want is the fact that she's got that cute little hat on. Her daddy's hat. Now my biggest problem when I decided I was going to use this collection is the fact that I don't have any mats, any stickers, anything that goes along with this collection in my inventory right now. And I really wanted to get this done. So I'm going to have some empty space here, but I am going to pull out these journaling lines that they used. I thought that was a really nice look there and something a little bit different. So let me go ahead and cut my yellow paper to be the sizes for the mats here. And I'm going to need a 4.5 width for 2 of them. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this at 4.5. And I need a 4 by 4.5. That means I'm going to mat these probably a little bit thicker than I normally would. And then I'm going to need a 6.5 on this one to do that 4x6 picture. I usually make my mats about 1/4 inch, but this is calling for 1/2 inch mats. So we're going to go with that. And then for this one, I need a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. All right, so let's get these onto their mats. And I could have done a totally different color for this rather than the color I did for the border, but I just felt like keeping it kind of uniform on this page. And they have this photo way down over the border because I've got all this extra space here. I'm going to scoot all of my design up just a little bit and keep my canoe showing a little bit better. Let's tape it on the right side. How about it? Let's put these on. Now remember, I'm scooting mine up a bit. Theirs is quite a bit lower. But staying pretty true to the sketch overall. That was kind of my goal on this, was to keep it kind of close. I did overlap these 2 borders, and I am going to overlap this one as well. Just kind of makes it look boxy. And then I'm also going to pull out that yellow to make me some journaling lines. And the good thing is I have some of this left. And it shows that the journaling lines are 3/4. So let's cut this down to 3/4. You could also use those Right Now journaling stickers, the white ones, and achieve a very similar effect, I think. I didn't really want white on this. I felt like it would be a little stark. So I decided that I would go with the yellow that I'm using on everything else. This one is a little bit thinner, and I really want these to be uniform in size. So I'm going to cut one more 3/4 of an inch off of this piece. And then I will have to cut these down some. And I might even do something like this, make those a little bit different. At some point in time, I will probably reorder those embellishments or come up with something that I could add as a little embellishment. But I think overall this looks really good. I'm not going to stick those journaling strips down just yet, because what happens if I make a mistake in my journaling and I need to redo them? But this is the look for this page. But let's go on and do the other side of the page and see how we make those two coordinate with one another. So these pictures actually have the canoe in them. I think we kind of need a progression here. We need her and Daddy standing by the canoe, Daddy putting her in. And this picture bothers me facing off the page like that, so I may go backwards with these. And we'll look like she's in the canoe, Daddy's taking her out, they're standing here. We can do it all backwards, right? And then I love the one where she's waving. So let's take a little bit off of this one. I'm going to try to make this a 4x4 while still leaving just a little scenery. I don't know about y'all, but as I've been looking at my pictures lately, it just seems like a 4x4 is a really good size. I kind of like it for a lot of different things. And I could actually cut this one down some. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go in just to the bottom of the canoe, take a little bit of this sky off right here. We're still leaving the trees and the bulk of the background. And we'll mat these two together and mat these two together. Yeah, we've got a plan. I'm going to take just a little side off of this, just so these are not quite so squished. All right, let's mat. Again, I'm pulling this yellow from the Life at the Lake. And to make our mats match the other side, I'm going to do a 4.5 inch. Oh, no, we got to go 6.5 inch. We're going to go 6.5 inches on the height for that double mat. And we've got two 4x4s. So we're going to need to go about 8.5. Although part of it's going to be covered anyway. That was my quick scrapbook math. And then on this one, we're going to have to go 4.5. But I don't know the height of it just yet because I just trimmed those down. So let's stick these two on this single mat together. And I'm trying to leave some of that yellow space over on the side. And I may need to cut off just a little bit more of this picture. Or cut off a little of this picture. I don't think I cut any of it. I'm trying to leave just a little yellow border along the outside edge, because if I put it directly on the greens and the greens just kind of all run together. I do like just a little space. All right, so we've got that one. And we'll put these onto this sheet. And then we'll cut it to kind of make it evened out. And again, I'm trying to keep about the same border, top and sides on this. Larger border than I normally would do. but we've got the space on these pages to do that. And I'm going to give that just an eyeball cut. Should take care of all of our cutting. I am noticing though, boy, this is crooked. I can see on the side over here that the pictures are not lined up the same width on the mat. I don't know if you know this or not, but if you turn your picture sideways a lot of times, or even upside down, sometimes it will help you to line them up more correctly on a mat or on a page, because then your eye is not distracted by what's in the picture. It looks strictly at the shape. I kind of discovered that by accident a long time ago, because in helping my customers, sometimes I would lean across a table and I would say, oh, that's a little crooked, and we would slide it, and they'd say, how do you see that? It was because looking upside down, I could see it. I could see the shapes a little more clearly without being distracted by what was in the photo. So we did discover that it kind of works. Now you can tell my photos, my mats, everything are just a touch too big to all work together. So we got to figure out exactly how we can make this work. I don't like going all the way over his arm. So I am going to make this one a little more narrow side to side. See if we can make this work. Now again, this is just the freebie. This is not the page layout that was in the sketchbook. This is the opposite side. Okay, that doesn't go over him quite as badly. So we're going to go with that look. Now with it being a 2-page spread, I feel like I want a title on here. And that I will either do with sticker letters or with my silhouette machine. Haven't decided what that title will be yet. I do need the date on here, which I can put in my journaling strips that are on the opposite page. But I do think a title right there would be really nice. So let's look at this 2-page spread. Remember, this side was the one that mimics the sketch. And we've taped our pictures down on both. We're not taping the journal strips until I actually do the journaling. And we'll add a title here. And these 2 pages are effectively finished. Do you like that look? I think that's a really cute page and actually pretty quick for a double spread. So, again, this was page 56 in our sketchbook. We did it as a double spread, and we used Life at the Lake papers for this. So until I see you next time, happy scrapping.